feeling to be driving a fully built, naturally aspirated Honda City with aircon and with all the creature comforts, and we're not on a racetrack but on a public road, with everything which is civilized. When you slightly mash the throttle, you can hear the induction note from the massive individual throttle bodies which are placed right beneath the firewall. But that aside, why we are really talking about a naturally aspirated car being very, very different, and why is it so important? Let me just explain. Everybody knows horsepower can be made with a turbocharged engine quite easily, because largely what you're doing is using a turbo compressor to compress air into the engine. You give it a lot of air, a lot of fuel, and bang, you make more power. But what do you do when you can't do this? You have to naturally allow the engine to produce power by getting in air with no external feed, just by natural method, by improving the efficiency of the engine, to get the engine to get in more volume of air, to which you add more fuel, you add ignition, then a lot of other things to make more power, which is what makes the science of building a naturally aspirated engine a lot more complex than a turbocharged engine. Having said that, turbo engines are extremely complex to get performance and reliability and to be consistent, but a naturally aspirated engine is many notches above that in terms of design and development skills. Now, when we say that this engine produces close to 120 horsepower per liter, it's a lot, because it takes a lot to make an engine which is just 60% the specific output in stock form, keeping more or less the same valve size, and then a lot of things around this very similar to what the stock engine is, and then operating the efficiency of the engine to produce this level of power, and then to also have reliability. How much does an engine rev to? Well, the stock Honda City VTEC revs to 7,100 RPM, and this one, a very cool 8,450 RPM on the street. Why? Because when we had our race engine in 2018, we would do about 9,000 RPM, and that was insane. We would shift the gears at 8,800 RPM. The power peak was at around 8,800, 8,900, and the hard cut rev limit was at 9,000 RPM. So it's very, very pleasing and satisfying for me to be always driving an naturally aspirated engine, to build one, and then the science and the tech that goes into producing horsepower with a naturally aspirated engine, building it from ground up, that's a completely different level of joy. And that's the joy I find in building cars. So that's what makes this car extremely special. It's a complete unicorn to all our other builds, because we all belong to the motorsport community. The owner of this car belongs to the same community. He's been a friend for the last 17 years. And because we have this connection towards cars and engines, the veteran Mr. Papu Ramaswamy, who's the owner of the car, really wanted it that way, and we absolutely left no stone untouched to get this process done. So literally, it's almost like a small toned down version of our championship winning engine package today in complete street, guys. That's insane. Another small interesting part of this car that I want to highlight is, although this engine is revving to 8,450 RPM, there's a very interesting part of the engine's drivability that sets this apart. You can see we are at 2,000 RPM at 30 kph in second gear, and the engine has so much of torque low down despite it revving so high and making peak power there, that it's just see the torque in third. See the torque in fourth gear at 2,000 RPM. So much so that I can even put fifth and 2,000 RPM, and it just lugs. It just pulls. You see that jerk when I just lift off and forth? That's how responsive the engine is. Absolutely no loss of power band anywhere. It's literally like Like the torque curve is so strong all the way from idle till the red line. And being an naturally aspirated engine, it's very important that we keep the power peak very close to the red line. You don't want to have a point where there is a dead zone which completely takes the purpose of revving an engine this high. We rev the engine only because it makes power till that point. So 8,450 RPM and still having drivability at 2,000 RPM. These are the kind of stuff that we do when it comes to racing. So while we are at describing what power this car makes, I might as well show what this car has. This here is again a fully built motor with rods, pistons and everything that is bespoke. Got a very different exhaust system, slightly dirty there. Got a custom fuel rail with the injector sitting straight into the port, and it's got a strut bar. It's got a suspension, unique suspension which is like a track setup with camber plate and caster, and it's got a lot of adjustability. Got a fuel pressure regulator, and the rest of the car is fairly the same. It's got the original radiator, it's got the pipes, it's got the AC, everything. Has a vented bonnet to just let a little bit of heat come out so that the intake air temperature is balanced. Otherwise, on the outside, absolutely stockish, except for the front Wilwood rotors, big brake kit that we put, and the rear disc kit. Over the years, we've tried to push the envelope with the Honda City VTEC to get better lap times, performance out of our Indian touring car program to a completely new level of thinking with the engine and into a different concept of building the engine with a lot more R&D done to the engine components. We put in a lot of detail in making the car very strong performance. Those were the days when we were doing around a 1 minute 53 to a 1 minute 52 as a lap time around MMRT, which was quite fast, and it is till today a really quick lap time if you know what the lap times around MMRT are. Now, as we got into the last phase of building a naturally aspirated engine for the ITC program, because from 2019 the turbocharged categories were introduced, and we gave it all in the 2018 season with our lead driver Arjun Balu driving the car and setting a blistering 1 minute 51 lap time in the Honda City VTEC. We pushed the power level to 190 wheel horsepower with a 1.6 liter engine. I mean, not exactly 1.6, about 1580 something cc. And today we are here with a car which is just a shy under what we produced back then. 5-6 years ago, that was a car which was completely the pinnacle of our motorsport development of being a naturally aspirated engine. But today we have a car here which is in full street, guys, with an AC, with a full-blown interior, and a car that we built a couple of years ago, belongs to a dear friend, a veteran, and his son also competes in the Indian touring car category. So they wanted something which was really fun and fast for the street, and we built this for them a few years ago. Almost 2.5 years since we built this engine, we've been making slight improvements and enhancements to the car to make it a little quicker and a little better and drive better. And here we are in its most latest iteration, that it puts out almost 175 horses to the wheel, which if you translate to what the crank losses are, it comes to nearly 194 to 195 at the crank, which is completely ballistic. Almost a 200 horsepower, 1.5-ish liter engine based on the Honda City VTEC single cam. Now this is what we say is bonkers. That in theoretical terms is close to 116 to 118 horsepower per liter. This car started out to be a 70 odd horsepower per liter engine. So now to have an engine which is way higher than the standard car's specific output, which means even in supercar terms, this thing is quite ballistic. The fact that it puts out 200 horsepower almost from a 1.5 liter-ish engine, that's a lot. Now take a look at what a Porsche does with a 3.8 liter NA, and what a Lamborghini does, or what even a Ferrari does for that matter. This is quite a feat. We are very happy that we've been able to translate what we've learned on the racetrack straight to our street builds. Today, to have a car which I think after we did this build, it's clocked a few, I think maybe about 1,500 kilometers since this engine was built, or probably a little bit more, and it's done a lot of highway stints, and it's pulled a lot of high-speed runs, and it's a car that gives immense joy to the owner of the car. So this is exactly what we do. We build cars for the racetrack. It's not so much for us to go out and rack championship points and win and bring team titles and driver titles. Well, of course, that's there. Winning is winning, and there's a lot of pride in winning. But the real glory is in actually doing all the motorsport R&D, translating them into a customer solution to give people a certain level of performance that is unimaginable in our country. Now, we are in a country where we have tuning uh, culture which is very, 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 very low. It's something that is almost like a taboo, because most people don't even understand what tuning is, apart from just the remap and the bolt-on parts. The real hardcore part of building a car, this is something that is completely unrecognized, and something that people don't even know exists. So we've been breaking norms, and we've been breaking the cliches of these things, and we've been trying to build cars, make them perform. If you will see, the highest number of built turbocharged cars in the country are from race concepts. The most number of naturally aspirated engines are from race concepts. The highest number of race cars that have the highest start and finish ratio in a motorsport event is from race concepts. From rallying, racing, which is our mainstream, and then to drag racing, to have the fastest car around a circuit, to have the fastest quarter mile car around a drag strip, and the most powerful Hondas in rallying. We've covered them all. And it's not just for Hondas, but everything that we put our hands on, be it a Volkswagen, be it a Mitsubishi, or be it a Suzuki. We've done them all. So this is our bit to explain what a high performance engine is today for us, based on all the learnings and R&D that we have done over the years through our motorsport program. That's it, guys. Thank you.